Bonjour mes enfants, c'est votre Uncle Dan. Yes, it's Uncle Dan, the Vinyl Man, back with another episode of Uncle Dan's Vintage Vinyl. And this one is one, again, of Uncle Dan being very, very woke. Some months ago, I received this album cover. It was only the album cover. I received it in the mail. It was used as extra protection backing for another album that I received. I actually got a couple of album covers along with this. But the album's gone, and people will use these, when shipping. Use these when they ship another album. Use these empty album covers as backing, and something like this, where I'm guessing this album cover has no value except as protective device and and as a source of an episode of Uncle Dan's Vintage Vinyl. Now, I'm not here to talk about the album, which I didn't receive. I will admit that I bought a copy later. I'm here to talk about the liner notes on this. And let me begin by saying, if you don't know who Doris Day is, what's wrong with you? Go off and, I'm not going to give you her history. Just go off and research Doris Day a little bit, okay? You can look her up and look up some songs by her on YouTube. You can find music on there on YouTube. You can find, I think, everything on here on YouTube. Anyway, this is, I believe, this is I've Dreamed, and it's got a bunch of songs with dreams in it. I believe in dreams. I'll buy that dream. All I do is dream of you when I grow to. Anyway, that's not what matters. I got this, and I, as I always do, I went and flipped around to check out the backside, and I read the liner notes, and I read some of them. I was like, I said, what? And I first want to set this up by reading around where I want to read. There are two here, and by the way, the liner notes are by a guy named Pete Martin, who is entertainment editor of the Saturday Evening Post. When this came out in the 50s, I'm not sure, I used to know, but I've forgotten. When this came out in the 50s, Saturday Evening Post was still a big deal, right? So this guy was a name. Anyway, he writes about this, saying that this is what he calls fireplace music. It's the kind of melody, the kind of tonal quality you associate, I do anyhow, with a boy and girl stretched out on a thick, warm, drowsy-making rug in front of a fireplace. That's not a drowsy-making rug. What he's talking about, fireplace music, is make-out music. This is music to get busy by. Personally, the thought of getting busy to Doris Day music, it doesn't work, but for me. But there you go. Anyway, it goes down in the last paragraph. But make sure, if you happen to be fond of someone who still has an ice cube or two unmelted in his or her heart, but who is otherwise, quote, the greatest, end quote, turn these songs on and let nature take its course. It will. But make sure you've got that fireplace stoked and blazing and the thick, drowsy-making rug before it. That's the best of all possible settings to listen to dreams. Again, very clear, Mr. Martin knew what he was talking about when he wrote this. This is music to get busy by. So there are sexual innuendos before and after the passage that I'm going to read. Now I'll read this passage. Some of these songs I've never heard before. Some of the sounds on the album have been around for a while, and they ring a memory bell in my mind, although Doris Day makes them more precious to me. But they haven't really been around until they have been formed and shaped in Doris Day's throat. Let me read that to you again. They haven't really been around until they have been formed and shaped in Doris Day's throat. So let me see if I can get it to focus on here. Wrong finger. They haven't really been around until they have been formed and shaped in Doris Day's throat. There we go. You can see it right there. And that is, of course, suggesting, and don't argue with me about it, that's suggesting that Doris Day, it was talking about Doris Day, giving BJ's, giving performing oral sex, fellating. And that's unambiguous, and I don't see how you can avoid that. And so there's this snide innuendo of Doris Day performing oral sex, and look, I don't care whether Doris Day performed oral sex on one man, 1,000 men, 1,000,000 men. I don't care. Whatever she wanted to do was between herself and her intimate partners. And family members, perhaps. That's her business. I don't care. She could have been the biggest slut, I don't know, the biggest slut ever. It doesn't matter. What matters to me is this petty innuendo here. Good Lord, man. And if it were just that, the dogs are going crazy. What's the matter, Claire? If it were just that, yeah, I wouldn't care. But and I like all sorts of albums with album covers with sexy, scantily clad women on them, right? And that's a kind of that is a use of women. It's unkind, but this seems like, come on, guy. It was so petty, and really against her image, and it suggests to me that there's something very undercutting about that. Why would he do that? Now this is this album cover is 60 plus years old. It's probably as old as I am, and I'm 65, ancient. What the heck? But it just seems petty. I did, as I mentioned, buy another copy of this. I bought a copy of the album, and I listened to it. I also bought a best of Doris Day that I didn't much care for. And I might do a thing about a song on there, which is a song that is about rape. It's from the woman's point of view, and it's about the woman being raped and basically having to put up with it and accept it because she got pregnant, so she had to marry her rapist. But I might do one of that. But what bugs me about it is that, come on, why would you do that? Anyway, this album, actually I bought it and I put it on. I was like, this is pretty good. Doris Day had an excellent voice. She started out, I guess, as a dancer, broke her leg. She, I guess, took it literally when somebody said, go out and break your leg. Go out and break a leg. She broke hers. She turned into a vocalist. She was a very fine vocalist, very, very fine technique. I find her phrasing a little odd, and it seems to me that she never quite commits to stuff. My sense when I listen to Doris Day is that you are hearing Doris Day perform the song. You're always aware, hey, Doris Day is doing a great job here. Doris Day is singing this very well. It seems to me the best vocalists, you have a sense of them being them, but they also disappear into the song. I was listening to Hank Williams earlier, and it may seem strange to have Hank Williams and Doris Day in the same video, but they were both popular vocalists who overlapped in terms of their active periods. And of course, Hank Williams is still very popular, and Hank Williams was one of the great vocalists of the 20th century. But when you listen to Hank Williams, it sounds like the man means it, and it sounds like he's there. He's committed. He's fully committed to the song. And I hear in Doris Day kind of pulling back from that. There's a distance between her and her and the song, and I hear that in the performance, and it lessens the impact of the performance. But this is as I do my semiotics of album covers. This is just something to keep in mind. Hey, I got through that one. I did that one. I'm going to put this up. In the comments, let me know what you think. Maybe I'm reading into it, but I don't think so. And I've run this by a couple of other people who've said, yeah, of course that's talking about, suggesting that, talking about, getting down Doris Day's throat. And again, Doris Day wanted to go out, maybe she was. There was some joke, I forget who said it, said The guy said, I'm so old, I remember when Doris Day wasn't a virgin. And then there was the joke about her being America's oldest virgin, which was around for quite a while. And I think of her as America's whitest virgin. And boy, does she ever code white, right? But, why do this? Why do this? Why be petty like that? And why Columbia Records did you have that on there? And it's just a use of women that really shabby, really shabby. Anyway, Uncle Dan white knighting for Doris Day, who doesn't need me white knighting for her. Okay, Uncle Dan, the final man, wishing he was always mes enfants, au revoir, et aussi. À bientôt.